Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners, to another edition, a nighttime edition, a Friday edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized, of course, by our friends over at Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. Along with me today, the man, the myth, the legend, JC Allen in the house, ready to rock this Friday night pod and send people into the weekend with a flair. Look at that. I like your little backdrop there. Celsius, Pewter Report shirt. This looks good. You're muted.
The beast. You have the beast. I got the beast behind me, just in the draft.
Yeah. Dane Brugler, friend of the show, special guest to the show, draft guide. I love it. It's beautiful.
Amazing work he does.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah. Speaking of amazing work, not going to toot Pewter Report's horn too much, but if you're tuning into the show and you're saying, wow, I've really been wondering what's going on at Bucs training camp, and I hope I get the opportunity to find out a little bit in this show. Well, you will find out a little bit in this show, and you'll find out a lot if you go to pewterreport.com and you read a lot of the practice reports that we've got going on right now. If you read a lot of the content we've got going on each day over at pewterreport.com, and if you follow Pewter Report on Twitter, you'll also get a ton. I was looking through today and I was like, man, I'm proud of that work we do on Twitter at practices, getting out plays and descriptions and saying who's injured and little details that other people aren't noticing. And we're always the guys, media relations, like, all right, back up a step, but do this, we're trying to get right in there in the huddle and hear what's being said. And yeah, I mean, I just think I genuinely, I wouldn't be a part of this team if I didn't think we brought the best coverage in terms of what's going on at these practices and getting people all the details we can. And I've really appreciated the comments recently from people who listen to these podcasts and saying, wow, you're killing it. You're bringing us details that nobody else is. And because we work hard for that part of it, our analysis will always be what sets us apart at Pewter Report, the information we can give you that you're not getting anywhere else, the opinions we can give you that you're not getting anywhere else. So we super appreciate y'all. Y'all have been awesome. These podcasts have been great. Great to see the chat blowing up again and everybody excited about the season. JC, you were out of practice with me today. What's your big takeaway? I know we got our show outline. We got our things we want to talk about. What's your big takeaway from today's practice?
I mean, one of the big takeaways is the title of the show today, but offense and defense starters continue to look good. They struggle a little bit, but the red zone offense is just, it's going to be tough for them to stop. The other day they had a look. I don't know if we can say this, but I'm going to anyways. They had a look out there. They had Hudson, OJ Howard, Gronk, and Evans all out on the field at the same time. Like you replace Hudson with Brait, and that's one lineup that I'm so looking forward to seeing, because they all have height, they all have skills, they all have hands. Good luck stopping that. But the red zone offense has been just phenomenal so far.
It has been, even when they've struggled in other areas of the field, red zone offense. It's just like last year, and I think I said this to you today. I only covered the Steelers. I know people probably get tired of saying me telling stories about the Steelers and comparing it to the Bucs, although most of the time it's been favorable to the Bucs when I've said that. But the Steelers, Josh, I think they covered red zone situational football about half as often as the Bucs do each practice. And Bucs just work on it so much. Red zone, 20-yard line, 10-yard line, 5-yard line. They're just always, what's our play combinations? When they're doing routes on air, they work in the red zone, right? I mean, today we saw the receivers in the red zone. Get open in the red zone. How do you get open in the red zone? How do you finish in the red zone? Where do you know where the back of the end zone is so you can get your toes down? When you know the ball's coming in high at the back of the end zone. Where the sideline is when you're from this alignment in the end zone. Like, everything is oriented around the end zone that the Bucs do. They are just, I think it's why Bruce Arians, both past 2 years, the offense has been really, really good in the red zone. Finishing wise, Brady's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in that area ever, but Arians is a huge part of that too. His emphasis is on that area of the field, and I think that they've just been really, really good when they're in that area of the field.
Yeah, and situational work has been something that Bruce and the offense have really hammered home. They're at it again today with stopping the clock drills, catching the ball, running up there, getting it back to the referee, spiking it. I mean, they did that multiple times. They're also doing the quick catches, timeouts once you hit the ground. So, the situational work they're doing right outside the red zone too, to set up potential field goals or potential shots at the end zone. The situational work they've been doing is just, going to prepare them the best they can for the season.
Absolutely. Josh Q, one of the best listeners we got here. I mean, he is always faithful, dialed in every time we got a show. And you were watching the podcast on your personal phone, he says, while your work phone alerts you need to watch the Pewter Report podcast. I love it, Josh. We appreciate you always tuning in. You're one of the most faithful ones we got. So we appreciate you for sure. Hey, I think that, you said the title of this show, the title graphic of this show, really. But, I mean, Ross Cockrell, I don't even have words, Josh. Like, what he has done in this camp, it floors me. And people know, if they've listened to this podcast for the past year, I am not one to issue praise unwarranted. If anything, I'm the guy that's like, well, he had a 100-yard game, but 98 of it came on one run, and he was really barely even touched on that run. And, I'm that guy. I know that I'm that guy, and I know that sometimes that gets agitating for people, but I think the process is really important and not just the results. Ross Cockrell's process has been unbelievable. I mean, I don't think he's given up a play in team period. I think he has 6-7 interceptions like that in the last 2 weeks. And he's not, I mean, we're talking about, remember, when we say that, he's not getting a 60-70 game like in a regular game. He's getting like 15 snaps in team period. And he's making an interception like every 5 plays. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch him. And we're not talking about like your boilerplate tipped ball, in the up in the air, you grab a pick. He is making plays on the football. Like every single one of these interceptions has been unbelievable plays on the football. He's not somebody who's been known as a ball hawk in his career. He turned 30 years old today. Shout out Ross Cockrell. Happy birthday. But I mean, this is crazy, Josh. Like, he was a 6th round pick. Like this, it's just practice. It's just practice. I get it. But like, this is a guy who's 30, who's been a journeyman corner in his life, nickel, outside. He's never played safety. He's stepping into safety, and he's been unbelievable. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not saying that lightly. He's been jaw-droppingly good, better than any safety on this team through 2 weeks of training camp.
One thing I will, and I'll be the negative guy here. He didn't make the transition to free safety. He's not playing strong safety. As a cornerback, you're always taught to read the quarterback's eyes a little bit. He's good with the back pedal. He's using that transition from the cornerback, and we heard, I believe it was Jordan Whitehead say it the other day, how much he's taking from Ross Cockrell and adding to his game because of that experience at cornerback. I think it does kind of put him in a better position to recognize routes and make plays on the ball because of his experience. I mean, this is a guy who, he's the 4th cornerback on the team, but he's had over 48 starts in his career. I mean, he picked off Jameis Winston for pick 6, the last time he was on a team before the Bucs in London. So, I mean, the guy's he's not a ball hawk, but he's got ball skills, and putting him in a position where he can kind of read and react more than having to go with the receivers, I think definitely helps him in the process. I'm not taking anything away from him, because making that transition on a short notice and performing the way he has is absolutely incredible. But I think, if he was going from nickel cornerback to free safety, kind of gives him a little bit of a leg up on being able to make plays on the ball.
I agree with you. I think it's a good point. Yeah, he's taking a lot of what he knows at corner and translating it to safety. There's no question. What stunned me is the instinct, like how much he trusts it. Like, it is a different world playing in the amount of space he's playing in right now at free safety. And he's making plays from a single high alignment and from a 2 high alignment, and attacking the football in the air. Like, that's what he's doing. It's pretty amazing to watch. He has been, some of the plays he made on the ball. I mean, today, the interception he had coming from single high to rob Scotty Miller of a touchdown after Miller torched, I forget what corner was, but I mean, to take the angle, to the speed. I didn't even know he had the speed to get over there like that, to turn and to high point and target the ball and come down with it. I don't know, man. It was not an ordinary play. I mean, I don't say this lightly again, but if Ross Cockrell were 23 years old and a 1st round or 2nd round pick, and he were doing the things we were seeing in practice the last 2 weeks, we would be calling him one of the next great safeties in the NFL. That's not hyperbole. That's how ridiculous he's been. Now, he is 30 and he won't start on this team week 1, and it is practice. And so we do need to recognize that. And you brought up a good point. He has really only worked at free safety. If you ever started at safety, you wouldn't want to be super predictable, and you'd want to be able to at least situationally roll that free safety down and do some different things, rock and roll your safeties. And I don't know whether he gives you any of that. He's not like a great run defender, and he's very small. So how is he going to be as a tackler, and
Exactly.
even as in the box or as a last line of defense tackler on the back end. There may be limitations here for sure that we need to get exposed. I don't think it should take away from he's been the most remarkable player to watch in practice. I mean, it's been a blast to watch him.
And he gives you that, just as you said, that just extra layer of protection on game days, right? He's going to be your fourth corner. He's not the fourth safety, guys. I mean, he might see some work at safety sometimes, but the guy's going to be your fourth cornerback on this roster. He's just too valuable there. I mean, you got guys like Antonio Hamilton, Nate Brooks. We still haven't seen much of Chris Wilcox, but Herb Miller, who got beat up today again.
Yeah,
it just.
I mean, I think there's some possibilities. It really depends on who is there a fifth corner or a fifth safety that proves themselves in special teams. So is Javon Hagan or Raven Green most impressive on special teams, or is Herb Miller or Nate Brooks or one of these other guys? I mean, I don't think it's Nate Brooks, but Herb Miller or Chris Wilcox, who we haven't seen much of, D. Delaney, somebody like that. Are they more impressive on special teams? And really, who's ever out of those four guys, that's what they'll do. They'll just Cockrell on game days. What I think will happen if Cockrell does keep his job as the up back, he'll obviously be active on game days. Yeah. He could give you the option to be, okay, he's your fourth safety, he's your fourth corner, and then you just have 9 DBs active. So Antonio Hamilton would be your other guy or whatever. And so then you have to figure out, is it Javon Hagan? Is it Raven Green? Is it, whoever it is, they've got to kind of figure that out in preseason, but he definitely gives you some roster flexibility to potentially be able to keep a fourth tight end or a seventh wide receiver active on game days, because they believe he can really play 2 different positions. So good question by Jack here. And I definitely think he's onto something with that. Somebody said, LOL, who hasn't picked 6 Winston? Good point.
He's got a great random backfield, or what is the word?
Yeah. Mitch brings up, has he picked Brady? Let me think. I wasn't here for his first couple picks. You guys, one of you, we'd have to ask Matt or Scott. It was definitely Gabbert, Griffin, Gabbert this week. Yeah. So not Brady this week. But again, he's not often out there against Brady either. Like, I don't think he's been out there at all, because he's the second team safety and Brady's playing against first team DBs almost all the time.
It was weird today too, because they did a lot of 3 safeties looks with the first team, and then you had Hagan and Cockrell out. 2 safeties with the second team. So I noticed they were trying to work all 3 safeties on the field at the same time a little bit today too. And then they went to just 1 safety with Winfield, and they went with 5 linemen when they went with I think it was Tryon,
JPP, Shaq
and Golston and
Sue or Vea. One of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it was those 5. Yeah.
We've seen some different 5 front personnel alignments, and then we've seen one guy drop out and a linebacker come, and there's been some creative stuff. I don't know what'll happen in games. We'll see. Good question by Mitch, though. Emily wants to know
blitzes today too.
What'd you say?
They're dialing up some safety blitzes today too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They definitely brought some safety blitzes off the. I mean, that'll be a bowl staple, but I think you'll see all the safeties do that at some point this season. And that's another question. We haven't seen Ross do that much, and so does that happen with him. Although he hails from Pittsburgh, he knows he was in Blitzburg for a while, and he knows. Everybody goes in Blitzburg. He made blitz everybody. Before we get to Emily's question, which is a good one, I do want to make sure we mention our title sponsor in Celsius. We got carried away at the beginning of the show. We usually mention them right off the bat. But Celsius, I'm drinking the heat, the blueberry pomegranate. What do you got there?
I got the raspberry acai green tea. I didn't want to be this late at night. I figured a couple of them, but I have yet to try the blueberry. I've been hearing great things about it. I need to get my hands on one of them.
Oh, the blueberry pomegranate is a top 3 for me. I really, really like it. No sugar and energy that it boosts you, accelerates your metabolism. It's good for you, and there's not that crash that you get with other energy drinks. So you're not getting any sugar. You're not getting any of the bad stuff. You're getting all the good stuff, and you're getting it with unbelievable flavor and unbelievable variety. You go and you decide and you pick what flavors you really are interested in trying. That's the great thing about Celsius. You can go to Celsius.com, find your flavor, use the store locator, find out where they are around you. I just was talking to a bunch of Bucs fans. Just let me know, hey, this is what I'm drinking tonight, like right before the show. I love seeing that on Twitter. I appreciate you all tweeting it out. Tell me what your favorite flavors are. Michael Kist over at SB Nation, who runs the podcasting over at SB Nation. He happens to also be a neighbor of mine and a good friend of mine. He stopped by the house right before dinner, and he was like, "What do you got?" Because I was away in Pennsylvania for a couple weeks. He needed his fix. I've sent him some new flavors. He's always getting Celsius, and he loves it. And so it's been awesome to see how many people have really fallen in love with Celsius. So I encourage you, check out the flavors. Click on those Celsius banner ads at pewterreport.com. Give it a try. They really are. They're a great company, and we're very excited about the fact that they're still and remain the title sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast. All right, Emily's question. I want to make sure I got to that before we moved on here. But she said, is it good or bad thing that we haven't heard anything on Mr. Irrelevant? And I'm going to kind of use Emily's question to springboard into another topic on this show. Because we haven't heard a lot from Mr. Irrelevant, Grant Stewart, although he got beat again in coverage today. And it's not been a good camp for Grant Stewart. So if you're talking about that, Mr. Irrelevant, it's a bad thing you haven't heard anything from because he needs to stand out. Today, Keyshawn Vaughn beat him on a wheel route. It was underthrown. He still couldn't make a play on the ball. He was beaten so badly. Vaughn came back, made the play on the ball, made a great catch. Good day for Vaughn. I saw people shouting about in the chat. They're excited about him. Good day for Keyshawn Vaughn. He's definitely getting better. We got to talk to him today. He's one serious dude, man. He does not screw around. Keyshawn Vaughn is business, at least with us. So, but
I asked him the other day, he was coming off the field. I was like, how do you think practice went today? It was good. I loved it. That was it. Nothing. Just
that's actually more than I thought he'd say. I thought he would not say anything to you. That's great. But Emily wants to know about, I don't know if she's asking about Grant Stewart or if she's asking about Ryan Succop, who is also Mr. Irrelevant. Because if you've tuned in lately, you've heard a little bit of something about Ryan Succop, and it hasn't been good. And I'm just wondering, Josh, you charted today and you got the kicks and the results of what he did today. For those who haven't read the Pewter Report Insider, the practice report from today's training camp, go over to Pewter Report and check it out today. Lots of nuggets on today's practice in there and lots of stuff you should know, including a couple sleepers. We might identify a few of those later on the show. But Josh, are we worried about Ryan Succop right now? Where's the panic meter gauge for you right now?
I'm not worried per se, because it's practice. Again, you got to make your kicks in practice, but I need to see game kicks, in the stadium. Let's see what happens going forward once we start getting the preseason games, everything like that. I will say your guy out of Miami there, Jose Borregales, has looked really good. I think he's only missed like 3 or 4 kicks in camp. The other day, he made all of his kicks in place of Ryan Succop when he was out. So, I don't know if he's feeling the pressure after that contract that he signed, but at the same time, I'm not sure if Bruce, if he really struggles throughout this preseason and continues to struggle at practice, and Borregales is standing out. Bruce isn't one of those guys, and neither is Jason now. They'll cut him. They'll cut the dead weight. If he's not performing, you can't even if you pay a kicker, you can't keep a guy who's not performing, especially with the Buccaneers' history of kickers. But I think he'll turn it around. I'm not worried. He did really struggle today, missing 2 in a row, 2 off the goalpost. It was just not a pretty day for him at all. But I'm not in panic mode yet. It's only practice 7 of pads. Yeah. Let's see a little bit longer.
Missed from 32, 32, and 42, and then 42 again yards. So missed twice from 32, twice from 42. Did make kicks, made his last 2, 37-yarder, 47-yarder, finished with 2 makes. But I don't know. It just has not looked very confident when he's kicked. The ball is not – he seems frustrated. Bruce Arians mentioned, he's been underwhelming to say the least. His struggles have been there. But it's camp, and you don't want to overreact. But at the same time, man, kicker is such a mental position. It's not like you missed 4 tackles, and then we just got to clean up a technical thing. It's just once it's in your head, it's hard. And Succop, to his credit, has had a really good career. Like, he has not been somebody who's been all over the place. Most kickers all go through that period of time, though, where they are. And, he's at this point. There's going to be that time with him where you've got to kind of figure out what's going on. And no, I do not think he's going to get cut at all. I mean, this year it would be disastrous. He's like $5 million in dead cap. So I don't even think that's on the table. He's got to be their guy. Like, they've tied to him for this season, at least. Beyond this season, maybe we'll see what had happened, but we're not even close to getting there. We're talking about this season right now and Ryan Succop, and it's got to be better. Like, it cannot be this bad. Like, as bad as he's been in practice.
Supposed to be automatic from like inside the 30, and he's missing two field goals, from the 15-yard line, and he's missing 2 right outside of 30 off the goalpost, back to back off the goalpost. So it is a little discouraging, and he's definitely got to get it together because this is a team with the Bucs, as noted, has struggled finding a kicker, and it found like you thought you had one last year. You paid the guy the money, and now he's coming into camp and he's had struggles. So he definitely needs to get it together. I do think they'll probably keep Jose Borregales no matter what on the practice squad. It's just something that Bruce is going to want to have as a kicker on there
for sure.
Probably just like last year with Greg Joseph, he'll protect them every week with the new protection rules. If no one claims him on waivers, that is, because he's still got to pass through waivers, but. And if he struggles, maybe in the season, maybe you see them bring up Jose Borregales. You can't really cut Ryan Succop at that point because of what you said due to the dead money and everything. But maybe you give this kid a shot. I don't know. It's early. I'm not freaking out yet. Bucs fans shouldn't freak out yet.
Yeah.
If he starts missing kicks in preseason, then we have a problem here.
Right. But we are going to be eyes glued to the TV. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And to every practice, we'll be charting everything he does every practice. So again, make sure you're following at Pewter Report on Twitter. So you're abreast of everything kind of that's going on with Ryan Succop and with the Bucs in general practice. We tweet out a lot of information from these practices. But yeah, it's one of those things we're going to have our eye on for sure. He was unbelievable last year, almost over 90% of his kicks. He was in the playoffs. He made every single field goal attempt. He only missed one extra point. He was great. 9 for 9 from field goals, 12 of 13 extra points. He was in the zone. It was awesome. I love it. But this is what I said in the offseason, it's just such a mental position. Anytime you pay him, you run a risk. You know what you're getting at other positions way more than you know what you're getting a kicker when you pay for it. You just have no idea. And he could turn it around. I'm not saying that was a bad move.
Yeah. It's funny because this is the position, the Bucs fans, felt confident going to camp about. They're like, oh, we got our kicker now. We don't have to worry about it. And here we are a week and a half in, and we're like, oh, the kicker has had some trouble. And they're like, not again.
Right.
It's just, it's the bane of Bucs fans' existence is the ability of a kicker.
You're right. It's more aggravating for them than probably other fan bases. If Justin Tucker misses a few kicks, Ravens fans like, well, we know he's getting, we've seen this for 15 straight seasons. He's the man. But Bucs fans don't have that luxury. So yeah, we panic a little bit when that happens, or Bucs fans do. And so we'll see. Again, I'm not going to make more out of it than it is, but it's been several weeks. When he's kicked, it's not been good. There really hasn't been a day where I would say it's been great.
And he's missed two practices already too this early in camp, which is
I think he kicks by himself in another field.
That's the practices that I've been at. He's missed 2.
Missed 2 practices. Mm-hmm. I think he was somewhere else kicking by without the team. Like another location. I think Arian said that at one point. But yeah, it's definitely been weird. It's been, I know they like to get him on different surfaces and things like that, but it's been, he needs to pick it up. There's no question about it. I don't know what that entails for a kicker. I'm not going to offer much critical analysis, but get the ball through the uprights, buddy. That's what you got to do. So speaking of kickers, actually, I don't think you even draft kickers in this league, but I got to rap to my people about Underdog Fantasy. If you go to the link on this YouTube video, if you click on the link in the description below, you will take you to Underdog Fantasy, where all of your dreams can be realized, and you can sign up. It takes a minute to sign up and create a profile. They give you $25 credit to play when you use the promo code Pewter. Now, Underdog Fantasy is fantasy football. It is an unbelievable layout. It's unbelievable aesthetic. It's extremely easy to use and easy to understand the layout and everything. I'm telling you, you got to use Underdog Fantasy if you're going to play fantasy football this year. You can set up your regular leagues in it for sure, but play these best ball leagues. And I think you're going to have a ton of fun with these best ball leagues, because what it is it's just the draft. There's no in-season management. There's no waiver wire. There's nothing like that. They give you these $25 in credits. Yeah, you might have to put in like a couple bucks for a deposit, but then you don't have to spend that money. They give you money to play. It just sits there. You can withdraw it at any time. So you get in there, use these $25 in credit, and you're going to find you're going to want to keep playing, because they've got prop bets. They've got all kinds of stuff. The leagues are so much fun. They're the best ball leagues because you can get in there with a few friends, do like a $3 buy-in, and you can have some fun just drafting. And then you don't have to worry about in-season management. You can do 100 of these leagues and give yourself a chance to put a couple bucks in. $15 or whatever is the prize. So it's fun. You can do it with all your buddies. It's very easy because you just do the draft and then they just pull your best scores each week. That's how it works. So check out underdogfantasy.com. And here's what I'll say too. I'm doing a private NFL draft. If you are interested with a $3 buy-in, that's all it is. Set up your profile and get these $25 in credits. Use that promo code Pewter, Pewter. $3 buy-in. So $3 of that credit is all you're using, not of your own money. You're using $3 of that credit to play in a fantasy football league with me. I've got 5 open spots in this private draft right now. If you're interested in being one of those people in this league, email me, john@pewterreport.com. Let me know, and I will send you the link to this league. You can be in a best ball fantasy draft with me. As soon as that league fills, we go, we draft. It takes only a couple minutes, actually, because the clock is very fast, and you don't draft defense in these. It's very quick. It won't take much of your time. But we're in a league, and then we'll see how we play against each other all season long. So I'm hoping some Pewter Report podcast listener faithful will sign up for this with me. Again, John, Jon, @pewterreport.com. Email me if you'd like to be a part of this. Again, it's a $3 buy-in. They give you $25 in credit when you sign up. So you're not spending any money on this. $3 buy-in. And I think the prize is 16 if you win the league. 6 spots. That's all it is. It's just for fun, man. Just for fun. So get in here. Use that promo code Pewter, Pewter. Get in on this league. Jon, @pewterreport.com. Hit me up. Let me know you want to be in the league. Send me an email, and I will send you the link to join the league. We'll draft, we'll have a blast together, and I'll talk about it on the show as the season goes on. And guess what? If we get more than 6, if I get more than 5 people that hit me up, which I'm sure we will, we'll do another league. That's how we'll do it. And we'll put JC in one of these leagues, and Scott will get in one of these leagues. That's what we're going to do. So let's fill these things up. Let's have some fun.
John, I've been using it already in myself.
I've already got one.
I've been using it already myself, because a lot of times, you guys know, doing mock drafts and stuff like that can be miserable. You go to ESPN, NFL Network, whatever site you use, and you go to do a mock draft. And if you're like me, you draft a kicker and a defense last anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And you go to do these drafts, and you got some jerkwad who drafts a kicker or a defense
the whole thing
and ruins the whole mock draft you're trying to do, right? So if you go to these mock drafts, these $3 rooms, you can join 12-team $3 leagues. You use that as a practice mock draft, and then because it's best ball, you don't have to worry about doing your lineup. You just set it and forget it. You use it as practice for mock drafts, and then who knows? At the end of the season, you might win $32. Just for putting in some credits and using free money to practice your mock drafts, and that's what I've already used it for, is doing mock drafts, because I think it's going to be it definitely helps figure out where ADPs are, where players are going. It's a lot of fun, and you could win money. So, I mean, if you just use it for anything else other than just mock drafting, you could still win money and not have to do anything. So definitely check it out. Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Jon, @pewterreport.com. Hit me an email. Let me know you want to be in the league. I'll send you the link for it. Again, $3 entry. That's all that it is. We fill that league. We're off and running. We'll play it. We'll draft it, and then we play throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. So look forward to being in that league with y'all and having some fun with it for sure. Okay, let's answer this question, actually, because we talked enough about Succop, I think. But how is Shaq looking in camp? Is he making plays? Another 8-sack season or 19.5 sack season? I don't think we'll see 19.5 again for Shaq. That's not a discredit to him. It's just that not many people have ever done that twice. It's not easy to do. I just think it's been a very quiet camp for Shaq. I don't think he's been bad by any stretch. Shaq's never bad, really. Like, he's either great or he's just okay. Like, he's just solid. There's no, like, real low. Like, Shaq is not a very, extremes player. You know what I mean? Like, he's at least solid, but he might not stand out in a great way throughout practice. And that is, to me, how this has been for him in training camp. He has just been there. He's been fine. Again, it's always hard to tell with pass rushers, and they've done one-on-one so little that there's not a lot to be gleaned. But I would say that he stood out very little to me during camp.
Yeah, maybe it's time for Shaq to take the hoodie off. I don't know.
He kind of had it off today. What do you have? Today he just had like a long sleeve shirt on, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe he listened to the last pod. And
Godwin's been having the hoodie on now. I've known.
You're right.
I don't know. I don't think he's going to have 19.5. I think you definitely get double digits. It's also practice, right? So you can't touch the quarterback. You got to pull up a lot. And as John said, we haven't seen a lot of one-on-ones. And even then, you're still not hitting the quarterback. So it's difficult to gauge the edge rushers when they're not being able to being unleashed and going full bore and, really using their repertoire of moves to try to get to a quarterback and put their hands on him, because Shaq's not only just good at getting after a quarterback, he's good at, causing turnovers as well. Yeah. So without that ability to even try to swat at a ball or get a strip sack, it's difficult.
You're right.
Well, I think that he will turn it on, once camp is over and during regular season games. Yeah, just based on how good this defense is, the alignments and everything that they'll be able to put out there. Again, I don't think he's going 19 and a half sacks. I don't think he's going 8 sacks. I think he's probably somewhere right in the middle, 12, 11.
Which would be awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, going into before last year, I think before that, the Bucs were in the bottom 3 of the league in the last few years in sacks. Last year and the year before, they really turned it up with Todd Bowles coming here, and they've been, one of the top teams in the leagues at getting sacks. So I think that will continue this year, especially if Vita Vea can stay healthy. I mean, so much I think of Shaq's game, and this is not a knock at him, is having that big disrupting force in the middle. And when you saw it last year when Vita Vea came back, how much of an impact Shaq was able to make after that and how much he struggled before that. And I don't want to take away from that because, as John knows, he had the most pressures in the league last year. So, I think he's still a great player, but I think Vita really helps bring out the best in him.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Vita helps bring out the best in everybody. We've talked very little about Vita, though, throughout camp. I mean, there's been very little to say there. We've talked very little about O-line, D-line, period, because they're almost all going against each other in team period. And we often, just being honest with people, we often do not have a great vantage point of the specifics of O-line, D-line play from where we watch practice. And I won't make things up a lot of time. Today was the best vantage point we'd had, all the practices that I've been at, especially the indoor ones at the beginning of the week. We could see all what happens in the play, but we're too far away from where they do O-line, D-line to be able to see details of play there. Today was the best vantage point I had, though, and I have some notes on some D-line players who really stood out, and I thought some O-line players who struggled today, even though I don't think it's necessarily indicative of kind of what they've done throughout camp. I think that it was true today, so we'll talk about that. But Josh, I got to let people know about our friends over at livinggolflife.com, one of the newest sponsors of the Pewter Report podcast. We are thrilled that livinggolflife.com has joined forces over here at pewterreport.com. Man, these guys are fun. They're great guys. Mike Bush, Jim Elsett, they started this company both from a military background. They have done so much for this country in the tours that they've served, but also now doing stuff to help change the game for golfers is awesome. Livinggolflife.com. Check out their website. They have all kinds of awesome stuff. They got koozies, they got glasses, they got hats, they got polos, just to look super fit. In fact, let me grab my hat. Hang on, it's right here.
Yeah, living golf life, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a
lifestyle,
brand
baby.
Clothing, it's a brand.
Look at how tight this is. I love this hat. I was saying this the other day, but I just think their stuff is awesome. Their brand is great. If you're a golfer or you know people that are golfers, go to livinggolflife.com. Check out some of the stuff that they have on their site. Right, like if you golf, and everybody in Florida golfs, I've heard. If you golf and you know people who golf, give these things as gifts, whatever it might be. But livinggolflife.com, they do awesome stuff. So make sure you go check out their site. Jim and Mike, they've got a great thing going on. And we appreciate y'all supporting them and supporting a sponsor of the Pewter Report podcast for sure. Okay, let's keep it rolling here because we've got two really big things we want to touch on before we wrap up this podcast. Number one, some sleepers that we've noticed in camp that have stood out, and I'll go to you first for this. But number two, we want to make sure we talk about the running back battle when we close out this show. Not trying to keep you all interested, but I think I figured out some of what's going on in the running back battle. Maybe tomorrow will totally disprove me wrong and we'll be back at square one. But I think I know what's going on in the running back battle, and I'll let you know that. But first, I want to hear sleepers that maybe have stood out to you in camp, Josh, that we really have mentioned very little and talked about very little.
O-line or D-line or sleepers? What are we doing?
Any position. I mean, my guys, I definitely have somebody on the D-line I'm going to mention, and somebody on the O-line actually. But anybody you've thought that as you watch camp, you say, man, we barely talked about them. We haven't talked about them at all, and they've had a really good camp.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the guy on the O-line, and I don't know if I'm taking your guy, but Nick Leverett is someone who I had. If you look at my training camp battles and my 50-man prediction, I had him on the practice squad. The guy's been lights out. He's been playing right guard, right tackle. Today, a little bit of struggles at left tackle, but still he's playing all four of these spots. And he's also practicing at center off to the side by himself, trying to get better at that after taking some reps at center in mini camp and also last year on the practice squad. He's been really good. He's had some really good plays where he's stood some key defenders up. Shaq Barrett earlier in the week, Khalil Davis just pushed him right out of the play. He's had a really strong camp so far, and it looks like he's going to be the 9th offensive lineman that this team keeps. And if he continues to improve at the tackle spots, because he's already a solid guard, and you heard, Alex Kappa, and you also heard Ryan Jensen talk about him earlier this week.
Yep.
He can continue to improve at that tackle spot. His versatility and his value just goes through the roof.
100%. Very much agree with you on Leverett. He has looked much better, I think, even than a year ago. He has always been made of the right stuff. Physically, he is way more capable, way more technical. I have been really pleased with the fact that he's even held up at tackle the way that he has. Didn't think he had that in his wheelhouse. Physically, he just looks like he belongs. I mean, he's big, he's filled out, he's strong, he's had some great reps. Joe Tryon got him today a few times, though. You and I were watching.
I got everyone.
He's slick, man. Joe Tryon, he got him a couple times in a row, but Leverett did stand him up in the third one. He kind of got pushed back a little bit, but I still didn't think it was like egregiously bad by Leverett. I just thought Tryon made plays, and I think Leverett hung in there and battled, and he's got to be. And to me, I don't think Molson we thought would be in that conversation. He has not been. Hutcherson is talented, but it's got to be the practice squad for a year, in my opinion. I think they'll keep him there. He really is talented. I mean, he's physical, strong. His highs look great, but then he'll have a play. It's just too sloppy. He's too off balance. He can't recover. There's something there. I think as a backup that can be developed with Hutcherson. I just don't think it's this year. So maybe practice squad for him. And Seaton has been fine, but to me, Leverett is just so much more physical, and that should make a difference. So good observation there by you. I'll go with another backup lineman that I never thought in a million years I would be saying has had a great camp. I think Josh Wells has been pretty darn good. And Shaq Barrett said it today. He said it unprompted. He was like, Josh Wells has been great. He's definitely going to be a guy. He's always so steady and reliable for us. He said, he's a guy that keeps getting better. I can't believe how good he's looked. I mean, he's had a great camp. So we'll see. I mean, I don't have a ton of faith in Josh Wells if he needed to be a starting tackle for a season, but it's been a good camp for him, no question. And that's where you want to be confidence-wise. Today he was with the first team at left tackle because Donovan Smith had a maintenance day. So great sign that for him that he continues to keep getting better, and he got those reps today, and I didn't think he stood out in a negative way whatsoever. Great pass protection from him throughout the practice. One-on-ones the other day, stood up JPP. Shaq Barrett wanted a piece, stood up Shaq Barrett. I mean, what more can you ask for? Those are your two best guys right there. So he's had a great camp. It's been awesome to watch him continue to get better. I'll flip to my second guy, and then I'll let you have it if you want another one. But the other guy for me, Jeremiah Ledbetter. I don't know if he makes the team or not. I really don't, Josh. But physically, Jeremiah Ledbetter has arrived. He was kind of a tweener, and where does he play? Is he just a 5-tech? Is he like a Will Golston backup? Can he rush inside? Can he hold up inside if they run? I just don't know where he fits. He's get 5 snaps a game. Is he worth a helmet on game days? I mean, he's probably 305, 310. I hope we get a chance to talk to him. We never get him, but man, I mean, his body looks filled out. He's huge. He just really has been a force. Tackle for loss today. I thought when he gets a chance to run with the second team defense, he does not look out of place, and he doesn't always get those chances. But when he does, he's made the most of them today with second team D, and he made tackle for loss. I just think he's looked really good. And we're talking about it as a depth defensive lineman here. We're not talking about as a future starter, but hey, this is not a group that is long on upside. So if he could show some, that's a nice notch in his belt for sure.
Yeah, and earlier in camp, he had would-be sacks. He's been getting constant pressures, as you said, the tackle for loss, and he's always been pretty good against the run. So yeah, I definitely think Ledbetter is a guy who I have noticed as well. But again, the numbers crunch is just really hard to kind of gauge on where he is. Just want to comment on Sedarius Hutchinson too. Going back too, I agree with you. I think this kid definitely could use a year on the practice squad. Today he was running with the twos. Which he hasn't done much of throughout camp that I've seen. But, his first play out there, he had a good punch on Nacho to get Nacho out of the ball. Next play, he got spun around by Joe Tryon. The play after that, he pancaked Khalil Davis. So it's so inconsistent and up and down. I think just more time with the playbook. I think Sedarius Hutchinson, more time with the roster. Another year, and I think that he'll be able to come in and compete at guard. But for me, I'm going to go back to the offensive side of the ball, and I feel like we've talked about him a lot, but at the same time, I was not expecting it, and he's kind of just, his receiving skills came out of nowhere this year. He's always been decent on special teams, obviously the league, the leader on the team last year in returning, but Jaden Mickens has caught almost everything. He's amazing. He's looked fast, he's looked quick, he's looked decisive, he's looked smart with his routes, and, he's caught. Doesn't matter who's throwing the ball to him, he's catching it. And it's funny, I heard him walk off the field today, and he's like, I had 11 plays out there. I had 11 reps out there, but I had 2 mental mistakes. And the fact that he's focusing on those 2 mental mistakes,
Yeah.
those other 9 reps looked good and he caught all of them and, got past some guys. It just shows you his level of commitment, him trying. And I think you wrote about this today. It's going to be really hard for the team, to cut him potentially. Do they go with the 4th tight end? Because Tanner Hudson, again, has caught everything thrown to him. Those look really good. Or do they go with a guy like Jaden Mickens? Or do they go with an extra defensive back? There's a lot of guys on this team that's making it hard.
I'm not quite sure where Mickens fits yet, how he plays as a gunner. Hopefully he gets that chance. He did not today, by the way, in practice. They had 3 groups of gunners and then a 4th guy. Herb Miller rotated in a gunner. 7 guys were in gunner, and he wasn't one of them. I don't know if that's a great sign for him or not. I don't know. It would be really hard to cut him based on how he's played in camp. I mean, clearly been better. And Tyler Johnson's been good. He's had a good camp. Today was a good day. He had dropped early, but then he came back, made a couple nice catches in the middle of the field. You could Tyler Johnson's size, you could say upside, versatility because he play inside, outside. Jaden Mickens has been, he's been a slot only most of his career, and they're making him an outside guy here, and he's excelled. This coaching staff, man, what can you even take a guy like Jaden Mickens who's bounced around places, been like a very role-ish player, Ross Cockrell, journeyman. They're taking these guys and they're putting them in new spots, and they're shining like they never have, confidence like they've never had, getting coached technique-wise like they never have. Bruce Arians truly, and this staff, truly one of the best things to happen to this organization. Just the way players talk about how they're taught, it's awesome.
And praise goes to the Glazers too for allowing us to have such a big staff. He's got hands down the biggest staff in the league, and you're seeing the benefits of it. They've got on the offensive line alone, they have 1 guy coaching the tackles, 1 guy's coaching the guards, and AQ Shipley's working with the centers. So there's just they have so much individualism with their coaches for them to be able to work on them. And then the assistant coaches that they're bringing in, the fellowship coaches that they're bringing in, they do a great job at teaching these guys. And, some of these guys we're talking about, Ledbetter, Mickens, they might not make the team. And it's going to be really hard, I think, for this Bucs team. You're going to see them. Normally, you're looking at, okay, who can the Bucs sign off these? Who's going to get cut? The Bucs might sign. You're a defending Super Bowl champ. You've got these guys standing out of practice. It's okay. Who can the Bucs sneak to the waiver wire? Because some of these guys are definitely going to get picked up, and they're not going to be able to come back. And Ledbetter and Mickens, if they're cut, I think they're going to be. I think they might be. They might be gone.
I think you might be right about Mickens. I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of camp, but guy who can play a couple receiver positions and return kicks and is sure-handed, and everybody in the locker room loves him. He's such a popular dude. He brings the energy every single practice. They're out there doing wide receiver drills on air, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are their guys, right? They're established. They're not energy guys. Like, they're not loud. They're not, AB is an energy guy. He's loud, but he's kind of within himself, right? He turns to the fans and he interacts with them and he yells to them. Mickens is the guy in that group that gets everybody pumped up. Not Scotty Miller, not Jalen Darden, obviously he's a rookie, not Chris Godwin, not Mike Evans, not AB, like Jaden Mickens is the guy that gets every single time there's wide receiver drills. He's the guy that gets everybody energized and pumped up. And that's who Jaden Mickens is. And so that's valuable. And I think that I would love to see him stick around because of that. I just think he brings something to the team and practices every day. Today they're going through wide receiver drills on air and making catches in the back of the end zone, and they get like their 3rd straight completion, and it's all kind of, half speed stuff on air. And like they get their 3rd one, he just screams, "Let's go!" And he's just like screaming, just the drill had been silent, and he's like, and then all of a sudden everybody starts clapping. That's just him. And so I think coaches value that part of what he
got to have a good locker room guy to get the guys amped up, keep the flow and the good vibes in the locker room. And that's Mickens. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one guy, and call me a homer or whatnot. But Javon Hagan has looked pretty well too. He was out there with the 2nd unit again. And the thing about Javon Hagan is he's making his 2nd position switch, right? And he did this. He was very versatile at Ohio University, not Ohio State, but Ohio University, where he would play a little bit of corner, a little bit of free, a little bit of strong safety. But he started the camp at free safety, and they moved him because Cockrell's been doing such a good job at free safety, the strong safety. They sent him on a couple blitzes. He's been good in coverage. He let a play happen right in front of him, but he was right there to wrap up the tackle. I think it was on Daquan Hamilton, the tight end, and he's looked pretty good. Learning a new position at the NFL level and learning, continuing to learn the free safety position too. So just want to shout him out too, because I think that he has, if If Cockrell's the fourth cornerback, there's no doubt in my mind. I haven't seen enough from Raven Green. Lawrence White, I think he's made some splash plays here and there, but I mean, undrafted free agent.
I haven't noticed him at all. So.
Yeah, he's got
If I'm picking, let's say the top, so if your top three corners, obviously Carlton Davis, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean, they're all in. Ross Cockrell's in. Antonio Hamilton's in. Let's say those are your five corners. Let's put Cockrell corner for now. Your three safeties are all. If I'm picking Cockrell going with those safeties, your fourth safety, and you're adding a fifth corner, or I guess a sixth corner in that situation on top of Cockrell, whatever you want to do it. My ninth guy right now is Javon Hagan. So I agree with you as far as that goes. Do I think he's been unbelievable or anything? No, I think he's been whatever, in terms of defense, but he's big, he's physical. They've talked about how smart he is. He's clearly stepped up vocally. He stepped up during camp. There's potential for him to be a good special teamer. I think he tackles, he's physical. I can't wait to see him. I know they were excited by his special teams play last year, and they wanted to keep him on the practice squad. He was one of the last guys they put in the practice squad. I also think he's going to make it. I think he's going to be the fourth safety, and I think Cockrell's, put him in the fourth corner, and then Antonio Hamilton will make it as well. I think that's how I see it right now. It's still up in the air. He hasn't locked it in. Like I think Leverett's closer to locking it in, I would say.
Leverett's
but
moved to the
that's
big
how I
room.
see it. What's that?
Leverett's moved to the big room. Leverett has been in camp because there's so many players that they can't have both, all the players inside the normal locker rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been splitting, half the team, rookies, young guys, back of the roster guys are all in the Advent Health indoor training facility. Mm-hmm. And Leverett's been there all week. I've seen him come in and out. Today was my day back at practice all week.
You were like, where is he?
And I was waiting for him.
Came from the big boy house.
I got some good quotes from him the other day in an article that'll be run tomorrow. Make sure you check that out.
Or Sunday. I don't know. Might be Sunday. This weekend.
It'll be one of those days, but I wanted to say, hey, thanks, whatever. But he's moved up to the big house. He's been, the Advent Health Training Center main club. So
no, he's
locking that spot's probably locked up for him.
Right. No, I think he's on his way there for sure. Now we got preseason action. Lots can change. Injuries will happen, whether we like it or not. Hopefully nothing major, but those will all affect things. So we'll see how things shake out. All right, I know you guys are chomping at the bit, and Mark does point out, Miller doesn't make the team you think interesting. I don't think so right now, Mark. I don't. Today was telling. He was the seventh gunner out there today. Antonio Hamilton's a first-team gunner. I'm not sure. Like, if you're going to keep six corners and counting Cockrell's a corner, maybe, but I don't see it right now with Herb. He hasn't done enough, in my opinion. We'll see.
You got 5 years of experience. One of them, at special teams, and you've got a guy who played 5 games last year.
Yeah, it's
clearly
I just don't think Herb's quite there yet. But
yeah,
right. We'll see. I mean, if there's a sixth corner, then I think it's Herb. But he's been better than the other corner. I mean, we have barely seen Wilcox. I should say that first. Kinley had a good day today. Somebody asked about Kinley. I will talk about halfbacks, running backs. I'm sorry, Matthew Sams. I know you're waiting. But Kinley dropped 2 picks today. I mean, but he made 2 plays on the ball. So, I mean, Trask throws. Trask has really struggled, by the way. We talked up Joe Tryon. We think he's awesome. Jalen Darden's been one of the stars of camp. I think Robert Hainsey's been very solid when he's got out there with the first team. He missed his 3rd straight practice, by the way. Undisclosed injury. He's day-to-day right now. But those 3 look like they could be something. But, I mean, Trask, where it's going to be a longer process. I'm not saying he won't be. It's just he's not close. He's not ready. Like, we're not going to be – we'll talk about him in the preseason, but it's future. He's not going to push Gabbert. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
all right.
Those 2 big drops. You know who would have made those interceptions last year? Parnell Motley.
That's right. He did make those picks last year, and he still got cut. So, Kinley has been tough. He competes. Man, what a great interview.
Has been tough, man.
Yeah. But
it's been tough to watch.
But Kinley's not had a good camp. I mean, I'm not going to lie to people. Like, I wish he had. I was all about him in minicamp. I thought he played great, but it's not been a good training camp. Today was his best day, mate. He knocked away 2 passes. Should have picked probably both of them, but good plays on the ball still.
Linebacker for me. Those backup spots have just been.
Yeah, Minter's fine, but then Joe Jones has not really blown anybody away. KJ Britt has been okay. He'll probably make it as the 4th guy unless Joe Jones balls out in preseason. Jones is running ahead of him today on special teams, so we'll see. I mean, it doesn't mean much at this point, but Grant Stewart's not been good. Yeah, I mean, It's 3 deep right now.
Nate Brooks, Cameron Kinley, Antonio Hamilton's been a roller coaster ride.
D. Delaney, yikes.
It just hasn't been good at that competition.
I mean, you're talking about your 6th quarter, so whatever. But you're right. It's not been good. Yeah. I mean, they have to go up against these receivers, too.
To look forward to,
Josh Pearson and Travis Johnson are making highlight. TJ Simmons is ripping the ball away from Herb Miller in the end zone for a touchdown today. Like, unbelievable. Should have been picked for sure. I mean, every single receiver on this team can play. This
is what we get when they bring 25 starters back on the ball. We've got to worry about Nate Brooks and D. Delaney.
That's right. This is what we have to complain about. We are grateful. Running backs. I think as soon as I say it, he's going to come back with a vengeance. I think the Leonard Fournette experiment is dwindling to a close. It is just impossible. I mean, Ronald Jones is just clearly better. And now that you have a guy that is for sure your best pass catcher, like last year was like, oh, who is it? Like it's an adventure each week. You never know who's going to suck more. Like you just never had any idea. Now it's Giovanni Bernard, and Keyshawn Vaughn's improving in that way. It's Giovanni Bernard. Ronald Jones it's not even close to who's the better runner. And I know Ronald Jones will probably make me regret it, and he'll probably fumble in the first preseason game, and we'll be back at square one. But I just hope Jones can just finally just stop screwing up, because if he does, he is just so much more talented than Leonard Fournette. And I just wish that he would just seize that role, and Giovanni Bernard would be the third down guy, and Leonard would play a couple snaps a game, and there wouldn't be this split of carries, because he is just such a less effective runner than Ronald Jones, and he's not good enough as a receiver or a pass protector to make up for the difference. I just don't think there's a benefit in playing him. We'll see what happens in the preseason. That's where I think we're going. Today, it felt like Rojo and Gio, and the last couple practices have been bad for Leonard, and it felt like they might be moving. Now watch. Tomorrow, Leonard will get all the reps, but that's what I think.
He'll be what was Matt calling? Presidential Lenny?
Yes.
Lenny?
And by the way,
Lenny, whatever you want to call him.
I'm not guessing at this. Presidential Lenny, yes. By the way, I'm not guessing at this. The Bucs are enamored with Giovanni Bernard. I'm not guessing at that. I'm telling you, they love this guy. They're so thrilled they got him. He's been awesome, not only as a receiver, as a runner too. Just the quick decisions, put the foot on the ground and cut and get downhill. It will not surprise me if he gets way more snaps than people think. I really believe that. I think that he's going to end up getting more snaps and more carries than people think.
And I've been talking about this since they signed him, and I've said it on the pod a few times. Giovanni Bernard was not a bad runner in Cincinnati. I think he put up over 400 yards last year, running behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Now, I know Joe Mixon still got his yards, but Joe Mixon is a much better athlete and struggled for those yards too. So imagine what Gio can do behind this line. And we've already seen
even Joe Mixon's been like under 3.5 yards for 4 yards of carry.
But even Keyshawn Vaughn, I mean, he's really turned it up, and Bruce has been really good. Again, I continue to mention they had a second-round grade on him the year before. He chose to go back. Ran behind, I think it was the 148th ranked offensive line in all of college football. And still, go watch the LSU game and see. We want to see what Keyshawn Vaughn can do. Watch that LSU game against one of the best defenses when he's on, and with a good running, offensive line in front of him, some more time. He talked about it in the offseason about having this mini camps and OTAs and how it prepared him, and how he came in. Now he knows what to expect as a runner and as a player. So I think he's going to have and I'm not. I wish I could go back and forth for the show, but it's Jones, Gio, and Vaughn, and then
it's obvious to all of us. I mean, Matt said it the other day. Scott said it. We all see it in practice. We saw it in games last year. We just understood that Rojo kept screwing up, so it was hard to give him. But now it's a new year, and whether we like it or not, there's not the recency bias or anything. Like, it's a new year, new slate, and we gotta go with Rojo, gotta go with Gio. I just don't. To me, there's just no payoff with Leonard. Like,
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think Lenny gets cut or anything like that. I don't see.
No, I'm not ready to go there. We'll see what happens in preseason. I'm not ready to go there though.
I mean, will he accept that role as short down back? Coming in and
goal line.
Someone who's not.
He's not even a better short yardage back. I'm not gonna get into it.
I mean, what are you gonna do with him? But
I don't know.
It brings up a question too, though. I mean,
I'll say this, Josh. If Vaughn balls out in the preseason, I will lead the trade Lenny train. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I will lead it if that happens. I don't think it's going to, but
that begs a question too. And we talked about some of these guys who might not make the team. Kind of thinking about it now because it's something that hasn't popped in my head. You got guys like Ledbetter. You got Tanner Hudson. Does he make it as a fourth tight end? They probably won't be able to sneak him on the practice squad, given the tight ends are really scarce in the league. You got a guy
Hudson.
like
You don't think?
I don't know if they'll be able to sneak him through. I mean, it's a really
right.
good camp, and
you might be right.
Then it comes to the point where the Bucs get a bunch of conditional 7th round picks next year, or what are they going to do with these guys? They're just going to cut them, or they trade them? Are there spots maybe inside linebacker or 5th cornerback that they could see they can improve and trade some of these guys? So those are things that I really haven't thought of until we just talked about Leonard Fournette and his possibility. That it will be interesting to watch his camp as a couple preseasons in the books and they get closer to cut down dates. Do they trade some of these guys for assets in the future or to get better at a certain position? It would be
That's the thing. Who's even playing in the third? You know what I mean? I think we're going to see a ton of Keyshawn Vaughn in the preseason. And then Troy Maine-Pope, who's been good. He's had a good camp. I said this to you today. I think Troy Maine-Pope's been look great. Catching the football really well. No drops. Quick to get up the field after the catch. He's definitely a Bruce Arians type of third down back. I think he's had a really good camp. I want to see how he plays in preseason, but he's been around a little bit. He's produced a little bit in the NFL. He's been a solid depth guy. He gets it on special teams. He's been through a lot of teams, and that's always been his role. So, I just think that there's some answers here without, trying to grab somebody else if somebody went down. So, yeah, I mean, I think Pope will be on the practice squad and the way that he's played. So, yeah, some different things to think about for sure at the running back position, but that's the direction I think I see them moving in at this point in time.
It's just Jones is Jones is never going to be that complete back. Let's get that out of our head. He's not going to be a phenomenal passer. He's not going to be phenomenal at pass rushing, but he's the most complete runner, the best runner of the pure runner of the football on the team, and he's shown that so far through camp.
Right, for sure. It's been that kind of a performance for sure. Tomorrow, Scott and Matt will be down at practice giving you the deets. There'll be a practice report up. We'll have our content up that we always have on pewterreport.com. It's going to be another great day over on the website. Today was an awesome day. Y'all rocked it out, gave us great numbers. We appreciate y'all so much. There is still so much content on that site. If you have not gone over and checked out today's stuff, check out today's stuff. There's quotes, the best quotes from today, all these nuggets from practice, half the things we didn't even talk about on this pod yet. There is reports on Hainsey and some of the details there that you want to know. I don't even remember what else we wrote about today. Lots of stuff
that came out late last night.
Stuff that came out late last night about Brady being mad at the NFL Players Association. Scott's Fab 5 as a 53-man roster prediction up today. I totally forgot that even happened because so much has happened today. So, yeah, there's lots of great content over at pewterreport.com. Check it out. Next week, we'll be back on the pod. No pod tomorrow, Matthew Sam, so I appreciate you asking about it. No pod tomorrow, but we will be back. So Saturday, the players practice. We'll have tons of content covering it. Sunday, off. Monday, we'll be back. Players will be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Your boy will be down there all 3 of those days. Other Pewter Report people will be down there as well. Give you the recaps, all the stuff. We'll have pods all 3 of those days. Pod Thursday, get you pumped up. Saturday, baby. First preseason game against the Bengals. 7 or 7:30 at night. I don't even remember. I don't even care. 7:30. Great. After the game, post-game podcast, we rock it out that night, late night. Y'all will do it with us. I know you always do. The late night Pewter Report post-game podcasts are exquisite. A1 content. And y'all are always here bringing it with us. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition, another week of shows on the Pewter Report podcast. Out.